Dan and Sam read children's books and ruin them.
Today we're going to be reading
Dr. De Soto by William Steig. William Steig is one of the great New York.
How great is he?
He's one of the great New Yorker cartoonists. For years he did that. He did covers, did all kinds of work, and then at age 61 he got into children's books. He started writing children's, and he's immediately successful.
Just right when you turned 60, you got really into kids.
Yeah, he started really developing a passion for the younger ones, and immediate success. He ended up writing. He came up with the Shrek franchise, right?
Yes, the franchise Shrek. He came up with the character of Shrek,
of the character,
which was then ruined by Steven Spielberg.
Hey!
DreamWorks.
And we're going to consider one of his works today, Dr. De Soto, which I didn't read as a child. You read it as a child?
This is one of my favorite books as a kid. Okay. I remember. I haven't read it. I don't really remember much about it besides the fact that there's a mouse dentist, but it was one of my favorite books. Maybe as a kid I knew the New Yorker. I felt the New Yorker cartoon.
You felt the New Yorker?
I didn't even know what the New Yorker was as a kid, but I think I understood that this was the highbrow kids book.
And now you're an adult who's quite interested in the New Yorker.
I know, yeah.
As a cartoonist yourself.
I lived up to it. There's a reason this spoke to me, and it's because I was pretentious from a small age.
So we'll try and understand what happened there. Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Dr. De Soto. Dr. De Soto by William Steig. What do you think?
Well, it depends on the way you want to make it
how
sound.
Jewy.
How Jewy, European, suspicious.
Yes.
I would say Steig.
Steig. That sounds like what a Nazi would say. Oh, Steig? Dr. De Soto, the dentist, did very good work. So he had no end of patients. Those close to his own size, moles, chipmunks, etc., sat in the regular dentist chair. Larger animals sat on the floor, while Dr. De Soto stood on the ladder.
I mean, right off the bat, this is an insane image, right? It's completely nuts. I mean, this is like starts with absolute chaos. I mean, what is that?
The mouse dentist is... Who would want a mouse in your mouth? Mouse in the mouth seems...
Mouse in the mouth is one thing. Second thing is this huge ladder. The idea that your dentist is a tiny little being that could enter your mouth and you could potentially swallow it just by mistake, almost.
Well, what is it about kids' books where the animals always get along? There's a whole world of animals, kids' books, kids' movies. It doesn't matter. There's no race. There's no size difference.
Well, that feels like the influence of the New Yorker. Like, New Yorker has all these animals somehow communicating, and you can tell it's always a way to avoid the reality of human beings, because it's really... That's an avoidance strategy that always bothers me.
So you don't think it's metaphor, actually? You see it not as metaphor for human beings, but actually as avoidance.
Well, avoidance is like the real, the very complex politics of humanity, of humans. And also,
So Animal Farm is not an allegory for Soviet Union. It's actually an avoidance of dealing with the reality.
Absolutely. We're not going to see any metaphor in this book. But also...
only literal.
Definitely, the real thing is we hate dentists. I think that's a universal thing. It's a New York thing.
But this is a cute mouse dentist.
So I think it's immediately trying to tell us, hey, consider this dentist. Maybe this one.
Be okay.
And the wife is right there.
Wait, who is this little seat for? Oh, this is the seat... for the small animals. Only mice, though. The pig is wearing like a muumuu. It's like a fat pig.
Yes.
Who's just wearing a onesie or in her pajamas.
And of course, the fat pig would have cavities and issues with teeth. So it's a pig.
Yeah. What are the pigs eating that are bad for its teeth? You think?
Well, if it's in New York terms, this is a cup, right? Pig, right?
Oh,
well, it's like to see the
pig.
And the mouse it's funny.
It's
the
Jews,
mouse,
right? From Mouse, Art Spiegelman.
Oh, is that what it means?
I think
in the New York animals, the mouse isn't prominent. I mean, there's the rat, there's the raccoon. The mouse isn't an obvious. I don't really think of New York mice. So
there are many New York mice.
So is this a way to say don't connect this dentist? This dentist is almost not a real. It's not a real possibility.
Fantasy.
Okay.
It's the ideal. It's what we could hope for in a dentist. Right. Okay, let's continue. You wanna read?
For extra large animals, this is about the issue of the bigger people.
Yes.
He had a special room. There, Dr. De Soto was hoisted up to the patient's mouth by his assistant, who also happened to be his wife.
Wow. She's assistant first, wife second. That's a little, I don't know about the gender politics for mice.
Right.
But she's been...
Although it's good that she's not wife first. I think that would be worse.
Well, I guess if you want someone dangling, holding you up, like you're repelling, you want it to be your wife who cares about you. Right. You need trust in the system. But it
does perpetuate the kind of the idea that behind every great mouse there's a great lady mouse.
Yes.
So that's not great, but the contrast
Hitchcock's wife.
This is really something. So it's beautiful to look at. It seems incredibly dangerous.
This is an old-timey donkey who I guess wears, it looks like a barber who would wear this little kerchief thing.
Oh, right.
Feels like an Old West.
Or maybe this is for drugs, right? When you need to have...
Oh, you think he's a heroin addict?
Well, it's...
Maybe his teeth are falling out.
Right. That would make sense.
Yeah, unlikely. Dr. De Soto was especially popular with the big animals. He was able to work inside their mouths, wearing rubbers to keep his feet dry. Rubber, interesting. And his fingers were so delicate and his drill so dainty, they could hardly feel any pain. This is interesting to me. This the fact that the regular mice, maybe they don't like him. That's what I get from it. He only
takes care of the big ones, which suggests like also kind of a little bit of a weird. I don't want to make it sexual because I don't think it is, but still there's something about the attraction of the danger. This tiny mouse.
He probably is excited a little bit.
I mean, he throws himself literally in the mouth of big, scary, predatory animals. It seems you'd think for a mouse like that, but what's strange is it says they could hardly feel.
Well, because they're so big, maybe. I mean, he's very gentle. He's a gentle dentist.
But then how? Because
he's nimble with his little mouse fingers.
But they're also not feeling anything. That when you don't feel anything in bed, it's not ideal. His drill isn't strong enough. He has to drill much harder.
It's true, and for longer probably.
How effective is his drilling if they're not feeling anything?
They just have to stay there for hours on end. But I guess if you're a cow, it'd be difficult to have a cow dentist because of the hoof.
The hoof?
The hoof, you can't hold the drill.
Is this a joke?
No, just imagine it. Is this humor? Okay. Are we doing humor now?
He was able... Okay.
All right, don't you...
Being a mouse, he refused to treat animals dangerous to mice. And it said so on his sign. What's the sign saying? Cat and other dangerous animals not accepted for treatment.
I mean, it's discrimination. He's discriminating...
it is interesting that but it's a solidarity for the other mice in a way.
But if you're a predator, where do you go? You just should have. I mean, this is textbook. Right. Racism essentially.
Predators need also healthcare.
Yeah, there's civil rights for predators also.
He and his wife would look out the window. They wouldn't admit even the most timid-looking cat. My God, this is extreme.
This is pure discrimination. This is what would happen in the South when they would just say, "No, you can't come in. They're judging you not on the content of your character, but just on your species
and the level of
and we will not serve you."
Right. There's an anti-cat underlying theme here, which is doesn't feel great for someone who appreciates cats. I'm on the side of cats usually.
You're the cat. You're not a dog person. Sammy famously not a dog person. One day, when they looked out, they saw a well-dressed fox with a flannel bandage around his jaw. "I cannot treat you, sir," Dr. De Soto shouted. "Sir, haven't you read my sign?"
This fox is very suspicious looking, very shady. I mean, everything, it looks like a true pervert.
Fox, in and of itself, right? That's the sly animal.
The sly animal, but and on top of it, you add this little, what is kind of foulard? What is it? What does he want? Like, what is this outfit?
I know he does seem like a flaneur, like perusing the streets.
Yeah, this is exactly kind of urban, vicious.
He's a fox. He's a little man about town. It looks like it takes place in like the 30s. Have you noticed this? If you look at the car. This is like a Depression era. It's tough times in Animal Kingdom.
And that's why, and the teeth are all rotting, right?
Yeah. I guess. Novocaine was just barely invented.
Right.
So that's why they need the special dentist.
"Please," the fox wailed, "have mercy, I'm suffering." And he wept so bitterly it was pitiful to see. This is...
He's faking it.
This is exactly what a fox does. This is exactly
crocodile tears. These are fox tears. He's a little conniving fox. What do you think?
The two dogs in the back are very cute. I'll say.
Yes, but they know. I mean,
this is textbook fox behavior. I mean, if I actually, this makes like a bad fox. A real foxy fox would actually know better and not do this conniving thing. Just a moment, said Dr. DeSoto. That poor fox, he whispered to his wife. What shall we do? Oh, so Dr. DeSoto was not being on his guard, and he immediately fell for the pity.
He's a kind heart.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Let's see if the wife is the same. Let's risk it, said Mrs. DeSoto. She pressed the buzzer and let the fox in. I mean, this is...
Do you think they charge more? That's what they... If I was an economist, I would say you have to charge the fox to meet the... You know how they pay like fishermen or like loggers. Right. They pay the much higher wages for the risk. You'd have to charge this fox 10 times more.
Well, that would make sense. But also, I'd say this is the first moment in the book that feels completely unrealistic. Because
before you were okay with the mice.
Yeah, but the fact that they have no skepticism. I mean, if they were real New York, individuals,
they don't trust anyone.
I mean, they would have to go much longer process before they accept him, and they would need some kind of guarantee. They would need already
maybe
some kind of
some references.
A retainer. They would already. They would be definitely
check him in on Facebook, see what kind of stuff he's posting.
Yeah, I mean, they would just be like just one little wailing moment of the fox, and they're like, okay, well, this is why this is children's
yeah, only in children's world could mice be this stupid.
And I think this is actually a mistake. Actually, this would be a great opportunity to show kids at an early age how incredibly suspicious.
Don't trust anyone.
And never trust anyone, especially someone who's crying.
I mean, tears. What are we learning now? We're learning about white tears. Okay, weaponizing tears.
Exactly.
To trick people, and that's what's going on. He was up the stairs in a flash. "Bless your little hearts," he cried, falling to his knees. "I beg you, do something. My tooth is killing me." I guess he'd be lisping, "My tooth is killing me."
I mean, this is just a pathetic display. And
I know.
If I was Dr. DeSoto,
this is a con. This is a classic con.
I would be kicking this fox. I would already been charged for assault at this point.
What would you do though? I mean, the fox.
I mean, with my wife, I would have used one of the many contraptions that we designed over the years.
So small. He really only just annoyed this fox.
With the rock climbing
the fox
technique,
has all the power here.
Send me all the way up. Like she would prop me up. I would already be on top of them.
Why does he have a cane? Is cane useless? Another classic con man move.
Oh, for sure.
Cane. Now he's on his knees. His legs are fine.
And I mean, a mouse. You know, you think the mouse is powerless, but the mouse has all kinds of powers. It can do all kinds of things. Get into his pants. I don't know. There'd be things to do.
Okay. "Sit on the floor, sir," said Dr. DeSoto, "and remove the bandage, please." There's no deliberation. Also, this is do they have kids? I mean, this is huge risk.
Oh, yeah. And also...
No, I mean,
he
I
could,
don't know.
He could destroy everything. Meanwhile, they seem to barely be thinking, right?
They seem to just, yes, we'll help this fox who's going to eat us.
Dr. DeSoto climbed up the ladder and bravely entered the fox's mouth.
What you should not do.
Oh, wow, he gasped. The fox had a rotten... What is that?
Bicuspid. I think it's like a tooth.
Okay, an unusually bad breath.
Yeah, because he's been eating your cousins.
Right. This tooth will have to come out. Dr. DeSoto is Italian, actually. Is he not?
Yeah, he is.
Why is this mouse Italian? The Italians are supposed to... the Italians...
Well, he came over on the ship.
Oh, and that also explains why they're so generous, maybe.
You think so? Oh, yeah, they're very, very giving.
So maybe
please eat us, yeah.
Okay.
Have some lasagna, eat us.
So this tooth will have to come out, maybe more Italian. But we can make you a new one.
That was your Italian accent?
You know.
It's indistinguishable from your normal accent.
Thank you.
"Just stop the pain," whimpered the fox, wiping some tears away. No tears. I don't like this. Despite his misery, he realized he had a tasty little morsel in his mouth, and his jaw began to quiver. "Keep open," yelled Dr. DeSoto. "Wide open," yelled his wife. Oh, so the fox is being tempted here. He's being tempted by...
And it's unbelievable that they really risk. They just take full risk. He is literally... The doctor is in his mouth.
Yes.
And just asking him to keep it open.
It's a lot of trust. I mean, the fox has never had to work less to get prey in his mouth. It's for lunch. But he invited lunch, and lunch said, "Yes, I will fix your tooth."
It's shocking behavior.
I can't believe we're teaching kids to just believe foxes. That's the moral of this so far.
The ladder is I find beautiful. I've been really into ladders lately, and I wouldn't mind having a ladder like this at my place.
For to put yourself in
No,
the
just
fox's mouth.
I like elevating situations.
I'm giving you the gas now. Oh, why didn't he give you? First thing you give the gas,
Right,
knock the fox out,
Right.
and then you kill him.
Right.
That's what they should have done. There's no way. Also, this gas is what it's gonna do. It's not
I
gonna do
realize we're
anything.
thinking in such aggressive, hostile, confrontational ways that the book hasn't ever really. It seems like they're on a different plane.
I'm giving you gas now, said Dr. DeSoto. You won't feel a thing when I yank that tooth. Soon the fox was in dreamland. Mmm, yummy, he mumbled. How I love them raw, with just a pinch of salt and a dry white wine. I mean,
Wow.
so this is what he's dreaming about.
This is the ultimate pervert behavior, where you like something raw, but with a little bit of white wine. You know, he's like
Yes.
an absolute animal, but then wants a little bit of wine to.
It's a nice
to,
Chianti, as
to,
Hannibal Lecter would say.
to wash it down. They could guess what he was dreaming about. Mrs. DeSoto handed her husband a pole to keep the fox's mouth open.
My God.
Oh, I like that. And that actually feels... This is actually something that dentists do sometimes to keep your mouth open.
Oh, they have the mouth guards.
Yeah.
But this is improvising.
Well, this is maybe this was a primitive time of also dentistry in general.
How come there's not just a fox dentist? Like, you would think if this was a market economy, you would, you
Right.
know, there's one great dentist who doesn't serve cats and predators, and then across the street, you'd think there would be
Right.
open, like, yes, I, the fox dentist, serve all predators.
So maybe this is an era where dentists were still rare, so you had to go to the mouth.
Yeah, you
is
were
it possible?
I
This
think
is
so.
why you said it was in the 30s.
It's in the Depression, yeah, maybe the fox dentists...
They all lost their money because they were just so horrible the way they were behaving.
Yeah, and they
with
invested a lot
of course,
invested in the
all
stock
foxes
market.
Had to kill themselves, so you
Yes.
had to go
The
to
fat
honest.
cats. The fat cats were the one invested in the stock market. They lost everything. It makes sense now.
Dr. DeSoto fastened his extractor, I like that, to the bad tooth. Then he and his wife began turning the winch. Finally, with a sucking sound, the tooth popped out and hung swaying in the air. I
Wow.
mean, I
This
really
is
appreciate the
visually
description
exciting.
here. Visually and also language. I mean, this is very...
This is a children's book with bloody teeth.
which is probably something that the kids can, of course, relate to.
Yes.
Is going to be a fairy, the tooth fairy is going to...
Do foxes have tooth fairies?
I mean, if I was a
I've
child,
always
this would be
asked this question.
my immediate... If I lose a tooth, the immediate consequence is fairy time.
I'm bleeding, the fox yelped when he came to. Dr. DeSoto ran up the ladder and stuffed some gauze in the hole. The worst is over, he said. I'll have your new tooth ready tomorrow. Be here at 11 sharp. I mean, he's so stupid.
Well,
this
what you could
DeSoto.
say is the fox hasn't eaten them. Clearly, he
But now
does
he's
have-
giving him more time. I mean, odds are eventually given...
Well, the fox has dreamt about it clearly, but maybe also that shows that he's trying to repress these needs, and there's nothing more commendable than actually repressing your sick compulsion.
The fox, still woozy, said goodbye and left. On his way home, he wondered if it would be shabby of him to eat the DeSotos when the job was done. So he's even after... This is really just about how shitty foxes are. Even after granted a service like dentistry.
And also the power of temptation. He's wondering. He's not sure. He is grateful
He's
for what
being
happened.
tempted.
And he's wondering if it would be shabby or not. So it's a question of, the
Yes, it
level of
will. Would it be shabby?
Potentially shabby.
Eating your dentist is apparently shabby.
I mean, at
in
least
this
this
world.
fox is pondering, is hesitating. Other fox. So I'm giving this fox a little bit of credit. After office hours, Mrs. DeSoto molded a tooth of pure gold and polished it. Raw with salt, indeed, muttered Dr. DeSoto.
I love their
Foolish.
the design on the furniture is a really nice touch. They have good taste in kind of colorful, classic 19th century furniture.
So this is also, it's really like an older time.
Yes.
How foolish to classify. Oh, so they're really, okay. He didn't know what he was saying, said Mrs. DeSoto. Why should he harm us? We're helping him.
Oh, so the woman again, pushing the man. The gender politics here are not ideal, I think.
It's thing that, I would have thought that the wife actually would be the more suspicious one.
Yeah, that's what you would think, especially if they have a family. I mean, if she loses him, then
But maybe
their
that's
whole practice is over.
That might be our misogyny, you see.
That's fair. Maybe that's the
because-
point of the book, is to point out our misogyny.
Because he's a fox. He's a fox, said Dr. DeSoto. They're
Means-
wicked creatures.
She's casting aspersions, but she's right. We're showing that the fox is considering eating them. So,
Okay.
that night the DeSotos lay awake worrying. Should we let him in tomorrow? Mrs. DeSoto wondered. Once I start a job, said the dentist firmly, I finish it. My father was the same way. Oh, he comes from a line of dentists.
Oh, that's the Italian side is coming out here.
Yeah. My father, for him, every time we start a job, we do it. We must do something to protect ourselves. I'm doing Italian just now. Oh, no, she's the wife. Well, we must do something to protect ourselves, said his wife.
Okay.
They talked and talked until they formed a plan. I think it will work, said Dr. DeSoto. A minute later, he was snoring. So they're not very worried.
So
These mice.
yeah,
It's just dumb. These are just dumb mice.
No, maybe they have a plan, but also they believe in deep sleep. Nothing gets in the way of Dr. DeSoto's
I've never
sleep.
seen a mice asleep. Have you?
It's a general problem with animals. It's hard to believe them being asleep, even when we see it sometimes.
And we know they
it
hibernate,
seems-
but I've never seen a sleeping mouse.
You see them
Only
do it.
mice scurry, but they don't sleep.
Right. Well, they don't sleep. They don't expose themselves to sleep. They don't like showing their vulnerability that way. You won't see a mouse just chilling asleep in front of you. Next morning, I mean, the difference in size could not be more.
He looks
clear.
like Willy Wonka. I mean, he looks like a
Absolutely,
He's
yeah.
dressed up like.
I like that. Also, he has the same kind of strange perversion of Willy Wonka.
I know.
The next morning, promptly at 11, a very cheerful fox turned up. He was feeling not a particle of pain. When Dr. DeSoto got into his mouth, he snapped it shut for a moment, then opened wide and laughed. Just a joke, he chortled.
Oh, this has a callous, dark humor. This fox.
Okay, first of all, I thought he was lying at the beginning, even about his tooth pain. That was real, but now he's getting confidence.
Yes,
Be serious, said the dentist sharply. We have work to do. His wife was lugging the heavy tooth up the ladder. It's the idea of lugging a tooth up the ladder. I mean, it's really wonderful.
It's adorable. Yes. Again, I mean, he's dressed like the Music Man. This is what when you imagine what a con man is dressed like. He's dressed.
And the purple.
Like
You
this.
probably thought of Willy Wonka because of the purple.
And the top hat and the cane.
And maybe that's actually intentional. Is it possible?
Well, he did have a sweet tooth, Willy Wonka.
With that kind of slight touch of like sophistication, the white wine. I mean, there's something about.
He has an air of an elite, pretentious fox.
Right.
But I still don't trust this fox.
Okay.
Oh, I love it! Exclaimed the fox. It's just beautiful. Dr. DeSoto set the gold tooth in its socket and hooked it up to the teeth on both sides. The fox caressed the new tooth with his tongue. My, it feels good, he thought. I really shouldn't eat them. On the other hand, how can I resist?
That is the dilemma. That is the dilemma. Right.
The temptation, it remains, this is a book about morality, I think. We know what is the right thing to do, and yet we...
on the other hand, how can we do it? How can we possibly do the thing that...
Oscar Wilde said, the only thing I can't resist is temptation.
Well, I think the fox here... The fox is nameless, by the way.
He's just fox. He's representative of all predatory creatures in that sense.
And it shows kind of the plight of the Italian against the rest of the world. Like, we have clearly Italian dentists, but the fox is everyone else.
Everyone else, yes. Okay, continue.
We are not finished, said Dr. DeSoto, holding up a large jug. I have here a remarkable preparation developed only recently by my wife and me. With just one application, you can be rid of toothaches forever. How would you like to be the first one to receive this unique treatment?
I mean, he really just deserves all the pain that comes to him, Dr. DeSoto. He just keeps helping this fox again and again. He's trusting. He's way too trusting. And I think this is a bad lesson to tell kids. I certainly would, the fox declared. I'd be honored. He hated any kind of personal pain. You will never have to see us again, said Dr. DeSoto. No one will see you again, said the fox to himself. He had definitely made up his mind to eat them with the help of his brand new tooth.
Like the fact that he, mentioned the fox hated any kind of personal pain, that says a lot.
He's an Epicurean. His main pursuit is just pleasure at all times.
Yes, he seems to embody, he also has all the vices, and he might be everything that's wrong.
Yeah, he's very deficient. He looks...
Yeah, he probably comes from, money, old money, and never worked a day in his life. Finds pain very...
Yes, his family was in the fur industry, I think.
Dr. DeSoto stepped into the fox's mouth with a bucket of secret formula and proceeded to paint each tooth. He hummed as he worked. probably Italian opera. Mrs. De
Pavarotti.
Soto stood by on the ladder, pointing out spots he had missed. Because she's the one who brings it. She went risk averse.
She's the Scottie Pippen to his Michael Jordan. They're a team. They're a good team.
The fox looked very happy.
Because he knows the fox is thinking about his meal. When the dentist was done, he stepped out. "Now close your jaws tight," he said, "and keep them closed for a full minute." The fox did as he was told. Then he tried to open his mouth, but his teeth were stuck together. "Ah, excuse me, I should have mentioned," said Dr. Soto. "You won't be able to open your mouth for a day or two. The secret formula must first permeate the dentine, but don't worry, no pain ever again." Okay, the mice outsmarted...
Genius. I mean, this is a genius move. This is
They
wonderful.
They glued his mouth shut.
And but I feel like this was only due to a moment of true stupidity from the fox.
Yeah,
Which
yes.
is uncharacteristic of a fox. But this fox was clearly not as cunning as you would expect.
He's not
fox.
cunning.
We know why, because he has been spoiled by the decadence
Well,
of
he did
wealth.
wait. He did wait until they fixed his tooth before he...
To consider it, but he was still overall a lazy, unsuspecting fox. Clearly modified. This is not a competitive fox who could live in
He
nature.
could have waited for them outside the building and then leaped on them too.
Could have done that. He could have behaved in a number of predatory ways that, in fact, I think I think it's really his social status has made him weak.
The fox was stunned. He stared at Dr. De Soto, then at his wife. They smiled and waited. All he could do was say through his clenched teeth and get up and leave. He tried to do so with dignity.
Then he stumbled down the stairs in a daze. Dr. De Soto and his assistant had outfoxed the fox. They kissed each other and took the rest of the day off.
That's the end. So what's the moral of this book? What do you think?
A few things. One thing is, just because you're a fox doesn't make you, especially a smart one.
Yes.
This is a failure.
Not all foxes are smart.
So no prejudice, no preconceptions. You might stumble on an idiot fox. This is not to minimize the genius of Dr. De Soto and his wife, because they really came up with a beautiful strategy, but also this fox was a complete moron.
But actually, this is a very pessimistic book, if you think about it, because it really shows that actually the different types of creatures or races, which I think this is a metaphor for, can never actually trust each other. Because they both had the mice never really trusted the fox, and the fox always had ulterior motives.
The mouse initially had a moment of trust.
But then even then they didn't fully trust because they had the plan to glue it shut. So they were always suspicious.
I mean,
so
they had no
the book
choice.
encourages everyone to not trust anyone else. That's the type of society that William Steig is encouraging here.
And you read this as about race?
I mean, always when you have different animals representing different...
is that what it means in the New Yorker cartoons when you see different animals?
I think
Because
it
I was
has
really
to be.
thinking, I really had this...
We're different kinds of people. I mean, it's one-to-one.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what this book is saying.
And so that's also why it's kind of this depression era, according to you, where things are like state of nature.
It's a dog eat dog,
savage.
mouse eat fox,
Right.
fox eat mouse world.
But also there's room for freedom and unpredictability, because the mouse was actually outfoxed the fox. Just because you look like a fox, and it doesn't mean you're actually going to behave like what you think a fox would behave like. I really think a much more cunning fox would have not let any of this happen.
But what is the world that he wants us to live in? Just a world where actually everyone's just tricking each other. I mean, this is a big children's book. If this is a big children's book, what is it teaching kids? It's teaching kids actually always have a plan B and don't trust anyone else ever. Only yourself and maybe your wife can be trusted.
Never take.
And you see that it's the individualism in America that we see
true.
that this reflects.
It's not necessarily an exciting outlook on life, for sure.
No, and that's why the con man is such a big figure in America.
Yeah, and if anything, and it kind of it encourages you to come up with these schemes like the glue. I mean, and it also romantic because it's a beautiful thing. They did the gold and then the paint. It's exciting, so you want to come up with those, but also to what end?
To what end? Why not
survival?
Why not just stick to your own kind and never trust anyone?
That's
the message that we send to the children of America. But it was well drawn.
And brilliant little, I mean, just the contraption, the ladder is all so brilliant. But now
you have to give that to William.
You unmasked the meaning, and I'm horrified. And now I don't even know if I want to engage with his other work.
I don't think you should. I think you should. Parents, if you're watching this, don't read this to your kids.
There's a darkness now that I'm overwhelmed with.
Yes, we're shaken.
If you like this video, please like and subscribe.
And leave us a comment below about what book we should ruin next.